The Rinnegan is not just a dojutsu, it's a symbol. The term Rinnegan comes from Rinne, which is to say Samsara. According to Eastern philosophy, it's the concept of karma and the constant rebirth cycle. Each path of the Rinnegan follows one of the possible outcomes of Samsara based upon your collective karma, with things like the Naraka Path being taken if you were absolutely evil and in dire need of punishment. On the other hand, there was the Deva Path, which was taken if you got a lot of good karma in your life, albeit it always consumed a lot of karma and led to a dying diva being reincarnated into a lower form, generally more torturous. To that end, divas would spend their extraordinarily long lives attempting to escape the cycle of samsara. That escape is characterized as the outer path. The Rinnegan's user has access to all of these paths, and during usage of the 6 paths of pain type technique, the user is always the outer path. This is significant because it insinuates that the user of the eye is something above a diva. It's believed that Buddhas who achieve Nirvana are out of this cycle. Well, returning to my original point, the Rinnegan is based on this cycle, and being the outer path insinuates that Naruto is far greater than a diva, wiser and capable of breaking the endless cycles of death and rebirth present in the world. This is why the world places such importance upon the Rinnegan and its user, saying that they will either be a god of creation or a god of destruction. Either way, they'll end the cycle. Either they end the cycle of killing and let everyone live in peace, or they end the cycle of living and let everyone die in peace. In the end, Naruto will bring peace and an end to a cycle, but how he does it will be based upon his own heart, his own judgment, and the collective karma of the world. But enough talk on the symbolism behind Kishimoto's creation of the Rinnegan. Let's get back to this story. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Minato sat at the table, sipping on a fresh cup of coffee. He was looking down at a piece of paper and he just couldn't help what he saw. He looked up at Kushina. "Have you seen this, Kushina? It's absurd," he said. Kushina looked back. "Oh, are you looking at Naruto's report card again?" Minato nodded and dropped it down on the table. History, A. Math, A. Science, A. Ninjutsu, A+. Genjutsu, A+. It is insane. When I was his age, it was a struggle just to reach B-, and he's acing everything. How is it possible? Kushina let off a little giggle as she finished cleaning up after breakfast. He's gifted. Gifted with that Rinnegan, he said. He thought about it. Naruto was always capable of seeing things. He was observant and claimed that he could even count the flaps of a hummingbird's wings. But beyond that, he was endowed with a photographic memory, it seemed. Whether that was based on his particular dojutsu or just because he truly was a gifted mind. Either way, what this meant was that he was super intelligent. He observed everything in the finest detail and then never forgot it. No, it was more than that. It wasn't just that he was observant. He could have any single technique displayed to him once, and no matter the rank of the jutsu, he could accomplish it. At his age, with his level of chakra, some of these were supposed to be impossible, such as the flying Raijin, which not only was insanely hard to master, but also came with a stamina drain that would kill most children. But Naruto shrugged it off as if it were no biggie. Minato attributed that to his Uzumaki bloodline and their notoriously large chakra reserves. He looked up at the popcorn ceiling of their dining room and attempted to make constellations out of each tiny crumb. Naruto was the ultimate ninja. He had what it took to become the most legendary ninja of them all, and it was of Minato's mind that Naruto would surpass him. No, Naruto would surpass Hiruzen, Tobirama. There was a chance that Naruto would surpass every ninja to ever exist. There was a chance that Naruto would surpass every ninja to ever exist in Konoha, maybe the whole world. And on top of all of this, Naruto had a kind and gentle heart that Minato considered to be his only weakness. No, it's because he has a kind heart that Naruto will be the strongest, Kushina had said in some time long past when told of Minato's views on this. His kind heart will guide him to make proper decisions that will save the lives of as many people as he possibly could. Perhaps Kushina was right. Maybe Naruto would, and if he did, then that was a wonderful thing. Minato couldn't help but be filled with a certain kind of pride, and he hoped to provide for his son every opportunity he needed to become something great. And that seemed like an easier task the more days went along, the more people recognized Naruto for his extraordinary talents. Naruto zoomed down the stairs, skipping the last 3, hitting the ground, cushioning his fall by squatting slightly using his knees to absorb the recoil. "I'm off to the academy," he shouted. "Okay, be safe," Kushina shouted back. Minato smiled and shook his head. Why is our son even still in the academy? I've seen others with far less attention become genin far younger than him and make chunin by his age. Kushina sat down at the table with her own cup of coffee, having finished this moment's chores. You know full well why Naruto's still in the academy. He's afraid of being lonely. He wants to be around people his age. I understand that, but his attachment to the others will have to end eventually. The path of a shinobi can be a lonely one, a path overrun with bodies of comrades and enemies alike. Perhaps so, but all the same, we should let him enjoy his life as it is right now, Kushina said. He will be a wonderful shinobi one day, that's for certain, but until then, let him enjoy his youth. He has all the time in the world to change the world, but his childhood only lasts a few years. Minato heard what Kushina said and nodded in understanding. After all, Minato himself wasn't that different. Let Naruto move at his own pace, huh? Well, I suppose there's no harm in that. We're at peace right now. Naruto ran through the streets, past the open shops, and was greeted by each of the shop owners. One of those selling various forms of produce would toss a crisp and fresh red apple to him. Be certain to give that to Iruka-sensei when you get to school. I'm sure he has his hands full with all of you kids. He deserves a treat. Naruto smiled and waved. Will do. He continued running. As he ran past, he saw a cart move into the road. Naruto simply smiled. Those working by the cart grew nervous and held up their hands. No, wait! Slow down! You're gonna... Naruto would run up the side of the wall of a nearby building and jump from the side to avoid everything. He would then keep running. He'd look back and stick at his tongue. Nyeh. As soon as he turned his attention around, he plowed right into Sasuke, the two of them taking a rather painful tumble with each other. The two laid on the ground, groaning. Naruto sat up and checked the inside of his mouth for blood, seeing if he had bitten his tongue during the collision. Sasuke sat up and reached for his head to see if there was any blood there. Of course there wasn't, but there was surely going to be a rather large bruise on his head. Thankfully, it would be hidden by his hair, but it was going to be there. Damn it, Naruto. For someone who supposedly possesses the most exalted eye of them all, you don't pay attention to where you're going. Naruto looked over. Well, you've got a dojutsu too, or are you telling me that the Sharingan couldn't see me coming? I didn't have it activated, jackass, Sasuke shouted. You see rings in my eyes? Neither do I, asshat. The two boys stood ready to take this to the next level until Sakura stepped in. Calm down, both of you. You both should have been paying attention. You're about to become shinobi. Paying attention is the most important part of our work. Now calm down and let's just get to the academy. Naruto and Sasuke relented. The three of them began to walk toward the academy for their daily lessons. Even if it didn't always seem that way, Naruto and Sasuke were actually best friends. It was always said that you could only really fight with true friends, and that was not lost on Sasuke and Naruto. They had a bitter rivalry going with each other. Sasuke came from a home with high standards, and it always seemed that Sasuke fell short of those expectations, all while his elder brother Itachi exceeded expectations. And as if that weren't insulting enough, Naruto had to be born with the most reputed dojutsu in the world. Something that was said that only a bearer of the Sharingan could awaken. Sasuke scoffed and waved it off though. Only special people can get the Rinnegan, Sasuke said, but it's overblown. The Sharingan is better. Sasuke was always attempting to tell Naruto that his Rinnegan didn't mean anything. Naruto always fired back by reminding him that the Rinnegan was the next in line after the Sharingan, but Sasuke scoffed at this, telling him if that were completely true, Naruto would have a Sharingan as well. Sasuke posited that the Sharingan wasn't a lesser form of the Rinnegan, but something that instead came from the Rinnegan. And while the number of techniques that the Rinnegan came with were larger, the Sharingan's abilities were more varied and specialized for the user. In other words, instead of getting the same 6 abilities, the Sharingan substituted them for one shared ability, the Susanoo, and 2 unique abilities. Sasuke was adamant that the Sharingan was somehow the evolved form of the Rinnegan and had potential that surpassed it. The Sharingan didn't need all the bells and whistles of a ringed dojutsu. It was simple and straight to the point, and deadly effective. Sasuke was planning to prove why the Sharingan was superior to the Rinnegan. This bitter rivalry spurred each of them to attempt to surpass the other. However, Sasuke was always behind Naruto no matter what he did. Naruto picked up jutsu quicker than Sasuke could, and when he did pick it up, he could do it immediately, even if it was high-level jutsu. Sasuke cursed Naruto's gifted nature, but Sasuke would only be boldened by this. Naruto would eventually plateau, and when he did, Sasuke would prove that his own potential was far superior. The three came to the academy where they would be seated. However, before Naruto took his seat, he would put the apple given to him out on the desk for Iruka-sensei. As Iruka came in, he saw the apple and picked it up. He took a bite out of it and was pleased to find 0 worms. He looked around. Roll call, he said through a mouthful of juicy red delicious. As he read off each name, a hand was raised and a voice shouted, "Here." Once that was over with, they began their school day. As Naruto sat there, he didn't pressure himself or listen too hard. After all, everything they were talking about he had either seen or read at some point. It was true that Naruto was far beyond his level and everyone recognized it, but honestly Naruto didn't want to leave his friends or make them feel like he was leagues above them. Naruto knew that Sasuke relied upon their rivalry, and it was that rivalry that kept the two of them going strong. He believed that if it came to light that Naruto was so far ahead of him that he could have easily graduated 4 years ago, that might destroy Sasuke. On the other hand, Sasuke was in class paying attention as hard as humanly possible, absorbing every piece of information like a sponge. He was even taking notes. Sasuke had attained the ability to write along the lines with perfect penmanship, even when not looking at the paper, which was something that truly surprised Naruto. Normally, only Hyuga could do that, but Sasuke's need to surpass Naruto had forced him to push his Sharingan past its own limits and into something that other users of the Sharingan could not truly attain on their own. Naruto wondered if Itachi could do this as well, or if it was possible that Sasuke's own family was underestimating his growth potential. As the day came to a close, however, Iruka was certain to let them know important news. This Friday will be when we hold final exams for graduation. The entire class let out a gasp. Iruka held up his hand to calm them and spoke with a smile. This is the normal graduating age for shinobi, and the educational examiners have determined that the collective grade of the class is high enough to merit a chance at the Genin exam. So study hard, practice harder, and be here on Friday by 8 a.m. for the test. It won't be easy, it'll take all day, so if you're not here for roll call, you will be removed from the examination. So be sure to set your alarm clocks and get to bed early the night before. And with that, he let the class go. As they went home, Sasuke looked to Naruto. So, finally we're getting our shot at becoming Genin. Naruto smiled and nodded. Yes, finally indeed. Sasuke looked over at Naruto with a cocky grin. My score will be higher than yours. Naruto looked over. Oh, care to make a wager on that? Sasuke smiled. How about loser pays for dinner for the other and Sakura? Naruto smiled. I'll take that bet. I'll see you this Friday. Then the three went home. On the day of the exam, they were brought to the school. There, they took an extensive timed test with over 154 questions total, all split between 3 hours over multiple subjects. After that, the class was required to take a physical exam to ensure that they were healthy, along with a few strength tests. After that, they would have to display some ninjutsu. Once this was done, they would wait patiently for their scores to come back. When their tests returned, Naruto saw that he had passed with flying colors, having not missed a single question on the exam, scoring a 100%. He went up and got his headband from the proctors and waited outside. As he waited by the swing set, he watched the other children slowly filing out of the academy building. He waited until he saw Sasuke and Sakura. Once they were out, Naruto stood and began to run in their direction. Once they got there, he smiled nefariously. Are you ready to show your score? Sasuke returned the grin. I hope you're ready to pay out your nose. I want filet mignon. They both displayed their tests to show that they had each gotten 100%. Wait, what? Naruto shouted in surprise. We got the same score. How did you answer all 154 correctly? Sasuke growled at this. Well, how did you? There's no way that a simple dojutsu is going to make it possible for you to remember all those answers. Naruto and Sasuke began butting heads a bit. Sakura held up her test to show her score. Naruto and Sasuke almost came unglued. What the hell? They both shouted in unison. 100.65? 155 questions correct? To say that they were confused was an understatement. There were only 154 questions. How did you answer 155? Sasuke demanded to know. How did you get more than 100? Naruto questioned in frustration. Sakura smiled, because there was a secret question. The entire test in itself was a question. Did you not notice that some questions in every other row were somehow related to previous questions, and that they all had multiple correct answers? Naruto and Sasuke thought about it. I thought those were a freebie, Naruto said. Sakura continued. Well, they were all part of a single scenario of which there was actually only one correct answer. You had to answer a certain number of questions in the proper order. I recognized this and answered correctly. Naruto and Sasuke were bummed out that they didn't notice. Sakura giggled. Ino and Shikamaru both got 100.65% too. You two didn't even score in the top 5. Naruto and Sasuke could feel their egos deflating. Sakura stretched. Well, I guess that means I won. In that case, I decide where we eat, and you each have to buy me whatever I want. Sasuke and Naruto could not deny that, and so they did. They went out for something to eat and fulfilled their end of the deal. After that, they went home. Naruto made it to his room where he would lay down in bed and prepare to call it for the night. He looked up at the ceiling at the star stickers he had decorated it with. This, along with the gentle light from his dim lamp and the appearance of lights from Konoha's entertainment district, brought him peace. While he was sleeping, the world was going to party well into the night, and that somehow brought him comfort. It meant that all was right in the world. He would think about how he, Sakura, and Sasuke had all passed, and how Iruka had told everyone to be sure to come into the academy on Monday morning to be assigned to a team. Naruto was a bit nervous. He didn't know what team he would be put on, with what mentor. He was afraid that he'd feel lonesome, but he decided not to dwell on it and knew that this was a wonderful thing. The start of his shinobi career. He could finally make something of himself. Not that he couldn't before, but now he was feeling as emotionally ready as he was mentally and physically. He was ready to fulfill his destiny and become a shinobi of renown, possibly even Hokage one day. Naruto would drift off to sleep. He would laze about for 2 days, playing around and doing whatever it was he wanted to do. But he did so all with a slight air of unease. And as Monday rolled around, he was up bright and early, earlier than he needed to be, as in he was already up and ready to go to the academy by the time Kushina and Minato woke up. He had breakfast with them and began to make his way to the academy where he would wait for his team to be announced. How joyous it must have been to realize he would not be on a team with anybody else but Sasuke and Sakura. They were named Team 7 and told to wait in another room for their mentor. Naruto and the others did exactly that. Now, if you recall, during this time, Naruto set up a prank to get Kakashi. Sasuke told him it would never work, but it did. But in this world, Naruto does not do that. You know why? He doesn't want to embarrass his father. Minato is the Hokage, and despite how playful Naruto can be, he does keep his dad's reputation in mind when he does things. And right now, being in what he considered to be a professional setting, Naruto refused to play that prank, as it would be unprofessional and would reflect poorly upon his father. And so Naruto remained silent and waited. It was then that Kakashi appeared for the first time. They were surprised by the way he looked. They weren't sure if he was cool and in style or if he was completely edgy and terrifying. If asked, Kakashi would have told them that it was both. After a short meet and greet, the three of them made their way to the forest to begin their test. They were told that they needed to get the bells from Kakashi and to use whatever they needed to get it done. Well, the moment Naruto experienced 1,000 years of death, he took it to heart. Activating his Rinnegan, something that Kakashi had expected, Naruto began to go crazy on him, utilizing the 6 paths abilities that came with his Rinnegan. This really put Kakashi on the ropes. Naruto would throw a kunai at him. Kakashi dodged out of the way and kept his eye on Naruto until suddenly something grabbed the bells from his waist. He looked down to see Naruto there. He had used the flying Raijin jutsu to teleport behind him and take the bells. Kakashi looked back up and saw Naruto standing there. Suddenly, he disappeared in a poof of smoke. Kakashi had been facing a shadow clone this whole time. This disappointed Kakashi. He never really meant for them to get the bells, but instead meant for this to be a test of teamwork. But Kakashi wasn't a liar. He told them that he would accept them as students if they got the bells, and so he would. But here was the catch. He told them that there were only 2 bells and that they would have to decide who got to move on and which of the 3 had to stay behind. He told them that this was what they would face in the field. A choice. Sometimes that one of them might not get to come home, and that they would need to carry on without them. The team attempted to come to a consensus, but none of them could, and all of the members, despite any rivalries, decided that it was best that they all be sent back. And when told to actually decide, they each decided that if the others could not be on Kakashi's team, then none of them would want to be. Because of this, Kakashi was satisfied that his team could grow into a single unit, and was content to make them his students. After this, they began odd jobs here and there, which is awfully boring to the team in general. But Minato, realizing that his son and his friends need a bit more action in their life, decides to give them the Land of Waves mission. During this mission, the team is attacked by the Demon Brothers, and due to Naruto possessing the Rinnegan, his reaction time is quick, and with his incredible power, he utterly destroys the two. They move on further until they meet Zabuza, to which Kakashi feels that he needs to fight instead of his team. However, despite making use of his Sharingan like Sasuke, Kakashi's still caught off guard and trapped in a water prison. Now, this isn't quite as bad as it seemed in the original series, as Naruto and Sasuke had to come up with a sneaky collaboration to push Zabuza back, but in this world, Naruto just has the Deva Path, and so he makes use of it to completely knock Zabuza away. It's not long thereafter that Haku appears to take Zabuza, leaving the group to believe that Zabuza was killed. Kakashi, however, is too weakened by the battle to continue on without rest, so he's brought to Tezuna's house where he's left to sleep. During this time resting, he has his team work on their chakra control by teaching them to stick to surfaces easily. Sakura displays this and manages to do it on her first try. They then look to Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto simply begins to walk up the side of the tree like it's nothing, startling everyone. Naruto finds a branch to hang from and looks at them. "What? I've been doing this for a long time. Chakra control's no new thing to me. I learned that early on, around the time I learned how to do this." Naruto then displayed a perfect Rasengan. He looks around at the shock. He realizes that he displayed a technique that most Chunin don't learn until they're about to become Jonin. He begins to worry that he went too far, but Kakashi recovers quickly. "You know, I was a quick learner too, and made Jonin at around your age. I wonder if you could do it too." Naruto smiles, flustered. He looks down at Sasuke to see horror on his face. Naruto realizes that he had just cliffed Sasuke. Sasuke thought they were on the same level, and now Sasuke has come to realize that Naruto was leagues above him and that there was no way for him to climb in this immediate moment. Well, it's not that I can do many of those techniques. I just had to train with my father a lot, and he's been teaching me his own techniques and stuff. He had to drill it into me, and he realized that nothing he was saying to Sasuke was helping. Want me to teach you? I bet you could do it too, Sasuke. All you have to do is study a little. Sasuke turned around and stormed off into the forest. Uh-oh, Kakashi said as he watched him go. Naruto gasped. Oh no, I didn't mean to make him leave. Naruto lost his control and fell from the tree, hitting every branch on the way down. He would sit up and shake his head. He would then look to Kakashi. Can I go check on him? Kakashi shook his head. No, it's best you give him space, Naruto. Let's let him have some time to cope with this. Sasuke walked off into the forest where he would sulk a bit. He sat there thinking about it angrily. Stupid Naruto. He's gifted. Every day he uses that Rinnegan to prove he's better than me. He shouldn't even have a Rinnegan. He's not no Uchiha. That's the dojutsu of my bloodline. He doesn't even have a Sharingan to go with it. Sasuke looked at his hand. He attempted to make a Rinnengan by taking his chakra and turning it into a sphere, but it was not doing anything besides becoming a wispy wind which passed through his fingers, ever elusive like his rightful place as top dog on the team. Sasuke thought about how he was simply never good enough. In this team, he was always behind Naruto, who was a gifted shinobi who could do anything. Then at home, he was always behind Itachi, who was considered a wonder boy. Every time he looked into his father's eyes, he saw disappointment. Why can't you be more like your brother, he'd been told. Itachi did wonderful feats, and even at a young age, Sasuke attempted to emulate them. Sasuke even managed to learn fire-style ninjutsu by the age of 6, which should have been impossible. But even then, Fugaku ignored it. After all, Itachi learned it at 4. Itachi was the top of his class and graduated early. Sasuke was not only behind Naruto, but also behind Sakura and Ino and Shikamaru. And he didn't graduate early, no, he graduated the same time as everyone else. Sasuke knew that he was better than this. He knew he could be stronger than this. He needed to be. Sasuke would begin attempting to run up the tree, controlling his chakra. All the same, he had issues. He couldn't get it and was getting more and more frustrated until he began kicking the tree over and over, splintering it. You're never going to get it that way, someone said in a soft voice behind him. Sasuke turned around. And who are you supposed to be? And more importantly, what's a girl doing out here in the middle of nowhere? The person smiled. I'm actually a boy. My name's Haku. The same thing could be asked of you, though. What are you doing out here, kicking down trees? Sasuke looked back at the tree that had been kicked so hard that it bore the brand name of his sandals stamped into the wood in a mirrored fashion. I'm trying to climb this tree with only the chakra on the soles of my feet, but I can't do it. I keep accidentally falling off. Haku nodded. I can tell you exactly why as well. Sasuke looked back. Oh, what is it then? Haku continued. You're consumed in too much emotion. Just as your heart rate increases as you grow angrier, it becomes harder and harder to control. The same can be said of chakra. It may give you a momentary boost of strength, but it robs you of control, making it next to useless unless properly harnessed. What you need to do is be calm. Tell me, what's bothering you? Sasuke looked to Haku from the corner of his eye with a scowl. And why should I tell you? So I can maybe help, Haku said. Sasuke scoffed. No, I don't feel like giving away any personal information to a stranger. Haku shrugged. All right, I'll be on my way then. He turned and began to leave. Sasuke attempted to not care, but seeing someone who possibly held the answer to his dilemma walk away made him nervous. He needed to know. Okay, fine, you win, I'll tell you. Haku turned back and walked over. What's the matter? Sasuke began explaining everything. His insecurity, his need to be better, and why he fought so hard for it. Haku nodded. You carry a large burden on your shoulders. Oftentimes, the person hardest on us, the one who expects the most from us, is ourselves. We seek validation and attention from those we love, and so we push ourselves past our limits to deliver, even if it hurts our growth. What do I do? Sasuke asked. Haku thought about it. While a rivalry with your brother and your friend is a good way to grow, you should realize that you don't need to be the best, and you don't need to meet your father's absurd conditions. You're above average for a shinobi of your age, and that should be enough. Be proud of your strength. So few have your potential. Grow at your own pace and let go of the need to be better than everyone. Use your desire to surpass them to grow, but don't let it hobble your potential. Simply smile and conquer yourself. That's the only enemy you need to conquer to be happy. Now, try again. Sasuke took a deep breath and calmed down. He began attempting to go up the tree again. He failed quite a few times, but Haku told him it was okay and to simply try again. And so Sasuke did until he reached the top of the tree. He looked down. Haku, did you see? but Haku was gone, as if he were never there to begin with. Sasuke smiled. Thank you. Not long after, Sasuke found himself standing on the bridge, guarding it. As he looked out over the body of water that they were attempting to bridge, he reflected on his drive to be better than Naruto. Everything would come in its own time, and he wouldn't let his fear slow him down or ruin his joy and potential. But as he waited, slowly, he sensed another presence. It was Zabuza and a masked boy. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke all came together to defend Tizuna as Kakashi made his way towards Zabuza. Leave, Zabuza. There's no need for you to do this. Zabuza shook his head. Oh, but there is. This bridge threatens Gato's profits, and what threatens Gato's profits threatens mine. Kakashi and Zabuza began to battle, all while Naruto and Sasuke face off against the masked boy. Sakura stayed back to defend Tizuna. The masked boy utilizes his demonic mirroring ice crystals technique. This traps Naruto and Sasuke in a dome of mirrors from which the boy passes into and between, throwing senbon at them. Naruto and Sasuke, despite their ability to see it coming, can't react fast enough. The masked boy's speed is just something else entirely. Naruto would take out a kunai with a mark on it and throw it toward a gap in the mirror, but as the kunai flew, a senbon knocked it out of the air. Was it possible that the masked boy knew what it was, based on the sealing formula on the handle? Naruto looked to Sasuke. Get under me! Sasuke was confused, but did as Naruto commanded, crawling between Naruto's feet. Naruto looked up and released a yell as he activated the Deva Path, shattering the mirrors and sending the masked boy flying. Sasuke stood up. The masked boy then rose to his feet. Naruto would then take a few steps forward and rush with a kunai at the ready. Haku would rush towards Naruto and duck under the shot before coming up and burying a senbon right under his chin. Suddenly, that Naruto disappeared as the real Naruto came in with a Rasengan and struck the boy in the face. The boy went rolling back. He hit the ground as his mask cracked and fell from his face. Sasuke stood there in shock for a moment. Haku? Naruto looked back. You know this boy? Sasuke nodded. He coached me in the forest. Haku stood. Sasuke then spoke again. Haku, why are you doing this? Haku stood there for a moment. Remember when I told you that we seek validation and attention from those we love, and push ourselves beyond our limits to please them? Haku looked back at Zabuza. Just as your father is to you, Sasuke, Zabuza is to me. I love him like a father, and every action is to bring him happiness. He looked back at Sasuke for a short moment. Allow me to show you my resolve. Suddenly, Haku dashed and stepped between Kakashi's Chidori and Zabuza, taking the shot himself, impaling himself on Kakashi's arm. Sasuke cried out for him. In a moment, Zabuza raised his blade to strike Kakashi down, Haku's body alongside it. No! Sasuke cried as Zabuza was eaten up with black flames. Zabuza panicked and looked to Sasuke to see his eyes bleeding, his pupils the shape of a flower. Zabuza hit the ground and rolled, but nothing put out the flames. He then ran to the edge of the bridge and jumped into the water, hoping that the cool waves would smother it, but no. This flame was fueled not only by Sasuke's chakra, but by Zabuza's as well. It would not stop burning until nothing was left of it. Sasuke stepped forward. Naruto looked at Sasuke, tears of blood dripping from his face. He walked to Kakashi and knelt down by Haku. Haku was already gone by this time, and in that moment everything made sense to him. Love and hate, pain and joy, all of them were the same. They perpetuated each other. A person could not know one without the existence of the other. This contrast gave clarity to life as a whole, and it was only through this revelation and this deeper look into what connected everyone beyond the physical that gave light to the eyes of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Kakashi-sensei, he asked, is this what it means to be a shinobi? Kakashi nodded. He hugged Sasuke as Sasuke began to cry. He didn't know that he could show so much emotion for someone he'd barely met, someone he had only had a short conversation with. But the fact was, in that short conversation, Haku had shown him that it was okay not to measure himself by anyone else's yardstick, and had taught him that what he wanted to be was okay. And in the end, the very trap that Haku had helped Sasuke get out of was what claimed Haku's life. Was it a cry for help? Or an attempt to steer an innocent soul away from a path that would lead to damnation, the same kind Haku now faced? These things were what lit a fire in Sasuke's heart. As he looked down at Haku, he saw not the boy in the kimono he had met before, he saw himself. A version of himself he could have been. A version of himself that couldn't be saved. And perhaps that's what penetrated his emotional outburst. Regardless, in the midst of this, Gato and his henchmen arrived to the bridge to witness the failure of their mercenaries. Well, at least I don't have to pay for their services, he said as he looked into the water as the black flames rested upon the surface. Sasuke looked up at Gato and his henchmen as they grew closer. A victory to be sure, no matter how small, he said as he drew closer. This pain and suffering, death and blood, all of this done and you still haven't changed the outcome. You've not even slowed down the inevitable. All you've done is bring yourself pain, and soon you'll die. You all will, just as Haku and Zabuza have. And just the same as them, your death will equal the same as your life. Absolutely nothing. Sasuke's fists clenched. You should leave. Gato and his men laughed. Leave? Oh dear, the tiny child will smite us. He's angry, run for your lives. He chuckled a bit more as he brought his left hand back to the cane in his right. Kill him. Kill the master as well, and the orange one. And what of the girl? One of them asked. Gato thought about it. She's very beautiful. She'd be ashamed to waste. Collect her, and we'll sell her later. Sasuke stood, his teeth clenched as his fists were. The clouds above began to churn as the wind began to pick up. Lightning struck the water nearby. You are so evil, Sasuke said. So vile. You're not even human. You're an animal. Gato laughed. Humans are weak. I've transcended their petty moral ideals. I have attained true freedom. Freedom from right and wrong. I've become as nature intended. Nature? Nature intended? I'll show you what nature intends. Sasuke, Kakashi called out. Suddenly, Sasuke stepped forward. His eyes glowed and burned red as blood dripped from them. He cried out, and as he did, a purple energy enveloped him and formed into a large chakra avatar. This creature pulled from its side a large sword, and with it he began to strike down Gato's men. Even Gato was terrified, having never expected such a technique to even be possible. Naruto watched on, all the carnage. Is this the true power of the Sharingan? The Susanoo lifted Gato into the air, the old man frail and weak. In wrath, and perhaps just to see him squirm, it began to squeeze and crush him. Gato, in his last moments, looked into Sasuke's eyes. Sasuke looked into Gato's eyes with not a single shred of empathy. He said not a thing, but in his heart, he considered Gato to be an animal, a rabid one. And the only way to stop a rabid animal was to put it down. And so Sasuke would. His Susanoo squeezed until an audible crunch could be heard. He dropped the shattered shape of a creature that once resembled a human into the water where Zabuza's ashes now floated, as of yet still burning. And with that over, Sasuke returned to the ground. Such a brutal act, nobody could say a word. Nobody dared approach Sasuke. In this one moment, the shinobi world's darkness crept into Sasuke's life, and Sasuke witnessed it. The yin to the yang of his peaceful village life. If his life in Konoha was filled with happiness, peace, and stress at not being good enough, then his life outside of it was filled with conflict, sorrow, and an absence of caring of what he'd become. Without a word, the quartet of ninjas returned to their village. The people of the Land of Waves would not forget this action, the day that a vengeful deity took the shape of a child and judged the unjust. The bridge would become known from that day forward as the Bridge of the Storm God. Once home, Kakashi would go to debriefing, and when at home, Naruto would inform his father, Minato, of what had happened. Minato listened to this and felt bad for Sasuke, but felt that this was exactly what Team 7 needed. Having fought in the Shinobi World Wars, Minato knew what kind of world they lived in. And as much as we wished for it to be upbeat and happy, the Shinobi world was one of strife, struggle, and blood. And Team 7 had learned that today. It began to make Minato wonder if Team 7 were perhaps ready to partake in the upcoming Chunin exams. Surely they had earned their stripes, and now was the time to let them have it. Elsewhere, Sasuke returned home, and for the first time ever, his story was demanded to be known over dinner instead of Itachi's. His father was obviously proud of him, but despite this, Sasuke was not satisfied. This world was an unjust one, where people valued murder and bloodshed. Every human, every shinobi was another Gato, was an animal disguised as a person. The world was full of corruption. Sasuke would stand in front of the mirror and look into his own eyes. These new eyes, these Sharingan. They were symbolic of one who could see the way the world was and what it needed to do. Sasuke looked down at his hands and realized there was blood on them. How symbolic. Perhaps from his eyes, but it symbolized the blood spilled. Gato's blood, Haku's blood. This world was one where blood was spent like currency, and where prices could be placed upon the human life. It was unfair. Sasuke needed to see it end. And to that end, he decided he would be the next Hokage. Naruto was not the only one to possess eyes that saw the truth of all things. Sasuke's eyes also saw truth, and that truth would guide him. A world without war, without suffering. He hoped one day to find that, and he would not stop until he did. And I think that's the perfect place to stop things for now. That was actually a very interesting part to write. I liked adding in some more character development for Sasuke in a totally different light from what is the norm. I also liked his shunning of the power of the Rinnegan. The idea of him focusing solely upon the Sharingan's powers and not planning to achieve the Rinnegan I like. Well, there is surely another part on the way, so stay tuned, dear Amagites. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when we drop the next part, or other content like this, and be sure to leave a comment below to tell us about what you'd like to see in the future. Until then, peace.